All right, this is Brett with Skydad Astrophotography, and I'm pretty excited today because I got a really good observation last night. It was the North American Nebula. So, in honor of the Olympics in Paris, which I might be distracted during this tutorial, that I'm watching it over here on my screen. Uh, so, in honor of the USA women's team advancing to the from the quarterfinals today in soccer. I I shot the North American Nebula last night. Well, the reality of that is the USA women's team hadn't won yet, and it just so happened that the North American Nebula was going to cross my backyard in a way that I could follow it for several hours without it crossing the horizon or getting into my trees. So it was a really nice exposure, and I'm pretty stoked about it. Here's what came straight off the scope in a JPEG. It's pretty as it is. I mean, it's kind of cool. Uh, Certainly, you could just pop this into Photoshop and probably uh, make some adjustments and it'd be a very nice photo. And I'm going to try that. So first, what we're going to do is I'm going to do my treatment that I do in PixInsight, and then we'll try it in Photoshop, and we'll kind of compare the two images and see, if all the PixInsight hubbubaloo and an image that is taken that is so good like this is necessary. So anyway, here's what we're going to do. We're going to minimize this guy. The first thing you notice, this is the stack TIFF straight off of the Vespera 2 scope last night, and it was a Mosaic. I tried to encompass both the North American Nebula and the Pelican Nebula, and this scope really can give you some really great mosaics. So let's get started. The first thing you do is you'll notice that you can't see anything here. That's normal. It freaked me out the first time I tried to play with one of these TIFFs. I thought I'd screwed up. But what you want to do is come up to the right corner in PixInsight, and you've got STF Auto Stretch. That's going to just kind of give a stretch to the image. There's two choices. There's kind of this nuclear option and then boosted. And sometimes the first thing I'll do is I'll hit the boosted, because what you're going to be able to find is any kind of error, like problems that you might have at the edges of the mosaic. And when it shoots these mosaics, it doesn't really have any stacking artifacts, so to speak of. So when looking at the edges, if you're shooting and stacking within the scope without using mosaic, you get a lot of artifacts, but I don't see any problems with this image. So normally the first thing you're going to do is crop, but we're not going to even bother cropping because I think everything's cool. So the next thing I like to do, I'm going to put this back to the normal boost, which honestly is already looking, even with just kind of an auto stretch here, is obviously bringing out a lot more of the nebula. So, the first thing we want to do is background neutralization. Now, there's not a ton of background in here. So I'm going to want to do what's called SPCC, spectrophotometric color calibration, which kind of gives us the colors more true to what the Hubble would see. So that's kind of a fun thing to do. But in order to do that, we're going to need to solve this image. This image is just a picture in space, so it doesn't know exactly, it has no information about where it is in space. So in order to do the SPCC, we need to solve the image. So that's pretty simple most of the time. What we're going to do in order to solve, first of all, I'm going to clone this by dragging this guy from the edge over, and I'm going to rename this one SPCC. Now, some people would say do like a GraphX gradient removal, but like I'm saying here, the gradient is not terrible on this image. I got a really nice image. It wasn't super cloudy last night, and not a lot of light pollution, new moon. So I got a really good picture. It's probably, this could be like one of my favorite pictures I've ever taken. But we'll see. So first thing we're going to do, after I clone it, we're going to solve this image. So what we got to do is go up to Script, Image Analysis, Image Solver. We'll put in the date. Let's see, it was 8/2, and we'll say midnight. It's fine. Now, I could look up the data and put these numbers in, but it has a search function here. And so we can just look for the object. Oh, I didn't ask it to find anything. It does like their kind of real name. So yeah, this is a big one. So if you put in Pelican Nebula, it probably would come back. Okay, but let's just put in NGC 7000. Let's see what happens. I would like it to say the Pelican Nebula or North American Nebula. Oh, there it is, North American Nebula. Okay, that's what we got. So we're gonna hit OK, and then we're gonna hit OK, and we're good to go. So here's my solved SPCC image. I'm gonna clone this one too, but we're gonna call this one GraphX, and I'll explain that in a minute. All right, let's go ahead and put some SPC on here. So we go to Processes, All Processes, and then Spectral Photometric Color Calibration. Now, I'm not 100% on this, and I probably should ask, and if anybody out there is listening, go ahead and put it in the comment or however, but I changed these on the Vespera 2 to just a generic. Probably should do an experiment with that. I think I did it one time, and but I didn't like replicate the experiment, so I don't know if it was giving me just better images. Anyway, so on that one specific instance, I should probably try it a lot, but you know, who's got time? That's what Skydad's all about. We're going to try to save some time. So we got all these, so we got that all right. I'm going to leave everything else the same. Some people mess with this. I don't know a whole lot. There's so much you can learn here, but I've had good results with just leaving it as is. You take the new instance of it and you drop it right on the image by using that little flag there. Cool. I do know, I think I saw a tutorial that what you're going to see these two graphs come out, and you're going to want the little dots to kind of follow the line. I've definitely seen closer, but then I don't know. Maybe that's not terrible. Cool. Let's close that up. All right, here's what we are left with. Definitely changed the colors. It's still stretched. So let's turn off this. I'm going to turn it back on. Let's look at that now comparatively. Close this bad boy up. Yeah, you can definitely see it took a lot of the red out. It really kind of made it more lighter, you know, more dusty. Not sure I like it any better, but we can fix that kind of stuff. We can make it any color we want. Now let's. We know that this is SPCC, and that's cool. Let's see what happens if we just don't do SPCC. We'll have another track here, and we'll call it GraphX. GraphX is really cool background gradient remover. It's free. You got to go to the website. You got to install the program, and then you've got to link it within PixInsight. You could also use it standalone, which is what I did for a long time before I realized you could actually link it here. And I'm gonna in the future do a tutorial that kind of shows how to set that up. But there's lots of resources out there for you to figure that out. So once you get that GraphX installed, it'll show up here, and you link it in with a repository. That's the word you're going to want to Google, PixInsight repository, and you'll find lots of information on how to fix to get that working. We come into Toolbox, and it's right here, Graphx. I'm going to keep all the stuff the same, and I'm going to tell it to show the background model, and we're going to see what it pulls out of there. We're going to hit check mark, so that'll start it up, and now it's going. Looks like Canada and Germany are going into 30 minutes extra time. Cool. All right. This thing's stretched now too, so let's turn that off and then. Okay. That's pretty wild. It's strange. Sometimes I get these like really edgy gradients that come out. I don't know if somebody else knows. I don't know. A lot of times, most of the time, they're smooth, but every once in a while, I get one of these. It's like very staircased. I don't know what there's a name for it in gradients, but it's not smooth. And let's look at the difference between the two. Okay, so it definitely tamped down a lot of stuff. It looked like it took a lot of green out, which is kind of weird. I don't know. They both are okay. They're both pretty cool. I think let's look in a detail area here. You know, I think they're both pretty cool. So, which one should we work on? I'm gonna go with the SPCC for now. So let's hide that guy. And the next step I like to do is we need to stretch the image, but which ideally you want to stretch the nebula and the stars separate. If you stretch it all together, now I shot this with a dual band filter. And so the stars were already kind of subdued because we were kind of filtering out a lot of that like the starlight to get to the nebula. However, I still think it could benefit from just working on the nebula itself, and let's give that a shot. So what we're going to do is I use RC Astro Tools. I have the suite. I can't say anything bad about them. They are all their tools are really cool, awesome. They do cost money, and they're not super expensive. They're not expensive. It depends on what your budget is. There's other ways to do this, but this is the way we're going to do it today because I've got them. So I'm going to clone this one again, and I'm going to minimize this guy and get it out of the way. And we don't need this background gradient anymore. We'll minimize that, put it up here. Okay, now we're working on this, and instead of calling it clone, let's call it Star X. Now, a lot of people, because I do have the Star X and the Blur X suite, some people would say you want to run that Blur X first. I'm going to put this guy over here just so we know it's not working. But these stars look really good. They look really good. So I'm not sure I need to drop it on first. So I think what I'll do in terms of blur extermination is going to be, if you had some like oblong stars, you might run it now before you take them away. But my stars look nice, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and separate it here. So let's see. So we'll go straight up to script. Oh no, processes, all processes, and star exterminator. This is going to go through and generate a star, and only on screen the stars. Apparently, I didn't know for a while if your image is already stretched, but ours is not. So we're going to drop this on here. Now this is going to take a second. So let's just pause, and I'm gonna watch soccer, and I'll see you on the other side. All right, I'm back, and look at this. We got two pictures here. We've got the nebula and the stars. Amazing. They're both unstretched because we come here and we hit this bye-bye stars, and we come back. Holy moly! Holy moly! That doesn't look good. Well, the ST auto stretch on this is nasty. And it looks like it took a lot of nebulosity with it. Well, we'll get into that later. Huh. Okay. I'm sure we're going to make this look perfect. So, look at our nebula. Let's unstretch that and stretch it back. That is cool. That is cool. I mean, every time I look at these things, it just amazes me. This is out in the sky. Now, it's interesting to me. I was thinking they called this the North American Nebula, and I understood that because if you look at it here, it does kind of look like North America. This would be New York, and then I guess Florida down here, and Canada, somewhere a little bit of Canada here before you get to the Pelican. So let's go ahead and stretch this out. First thing we could do, we could do our blur exterminator here, or we could stretch it first. I think let's stretch it first. So yeah, so let's go to nothing. We're going to do what's called a generalized hyperbolic stretch. There's lots of ways to do things in PixInsight, and as well as any other software. This is my my go-to. So you go down. In fact, I kind of use I switch up depending on the image, but I like to start with GHS, with the general hyperbolic stretch. So you go to intensity transformations and generalized hyperbolic stretch. Sometimes I'll also do a different stretch, but let's do this one. Okay. When you first open up GHS, you can't see your data because it's a tiny little line over here. So what you're going to want to do is hit the zoom button. A lot of times, though, it incrementally jumps to 250. A lot of times, I've had it that's way too much. So if you're not seeing anything right away, come in here and change this number to 50 or whatever, a different number, and you might be able to see it. And then remember, you can use this to figure out where it is. So here's all our data. I'm going to put the line right where the data ends on the right. I've seen people do it on the left. I don't know. Then we're going to hit send SP. So that's going to kind of define a symmetry point from where we're going to stretch out the info. Now, if you want to go down, what you want to do is hit this little button down here. It's called the real-time preview. It's the only way you're going to see any adjustments. And then let's start stretching it out. Let's see what happens. Boom. Sometimes I just like really give it an ugly value and see what we got, just to see what's happening. Now, stretching is kind of an iterative process. What you don't want to just see how it, this red line, once it gets crushed up against the wall, that's clipping. So you're taking values out. So you don't want to get it that high, but get it close. So, like I said, it's an iterative process. I mean, so what I mean by iterative process is you do it more than once. So let's see. I'm like, I think it's okay here. You can also change your symmetry point, which if you move it here, it's going to be really whack. Like it's, so, I wish I could undo. Where was it? Where was it? It's like it's a really small number. There we go. You know what? We're going to reset this. So down here on the right hand, if you goof up, you can always come down and reset. And I use that a lot. We're going to zoom in and find that point. And we're going to send to SP again and then stretch again. There we go. I'm liking that about right there. I'm going to hit apply. And now it's going to go boom, white out. The reason why is because it's actually applying it again. And so that's where this little reset button also comes in handy. You just reset it back. Now what we can do, and zoom out, because we've see now that we can kind of see that your data is stretched. So let's say I want to stretch a little bit more of this kind of lighter nebulosity here. You kind of find that, send that to the SP, and now your stretch factors you're gonna want to really be more gentle. I would think. What? I don't feel like I'm getting. See there, I wasn't getting real time feedback, which is, I think it has to do with the Camtasia. I usually do this without recording myself up until now. But cool. Look at that. There's all kinds of goodies in there. Oh man, love it. So let's just do a real gentle, where all that weirdness starts coming in. And again, it's iterative. So we're going to hit, I'm cool with that, about 4, hit OK. Boom. And it automatically, now it didn't blow it out this time because we just did a kind of a gentler stretch on it, like a little less. Ooh, okay. I'm going to hit it one more time with that same stretch factor. And then if we hit this to reset, there we are. Now let's say I want a little more push on to this mid-tone red. Now we're gonna send that to the SP and stretch a little more. Wow. Okay. Well, I understand in North America. That's funny. Must have been somebody from North America that named it. Well, what I thought was ironic is this: the light off of this thing is it's 27. I think at least 2,700 light years away. So the light you're seeing now was, being emitted uh, before Jesus was born. So it was a while ago. Uh, I only say that because it's North American Nebula, so I'm thinking maybe this must have been named by somebody from North America, but we'll look into that. Anyway, here we go. We got, because it kind of looks more like South America if you turn your head this way. All right, we got this weird blue stuff happening down here, but you know what? I haven't, like I said, I like to do a little mixture of stretches. And you can always kind of drag this symmetry point around, kind of see. Make some, see, get it to where you like it. The thing about developing your own or processing your own astro images is you do whatever you want, man. It's your image. So make it the way you like it. I'm going to come back and deal with those blues in a little while. I like that. I'm going to hit OK and boom. I think that extra bump is a little too much. So we're just going to close out of here. Turn off the real-time preview. Minimize generalized hyperbolic stretch. Get star exterminator out of the way as well. We're going to keep the real-time preview open. The other type of stretch that I like to do in tandem, I don't always, but I think this might call for it, is I do go to process intensity transformations, and I like to do a curves transformation. Again, don't forget to put this on. The real-time preview, that's linked here now, as you can see. Curves transformation right here, real-time preview curves transformation. You change the tool, it changes with the tool that you're using. So let's just start by, you put a point on here, and we can start kind of taking away as making the darker areas darker. And now if we pull kind of like what we call S curve, we can make the brighter areas brighter. And again, this is an iterative process. And if you go like that, you're really going to crush things out, so make sure your line slopes and doesn't bottom out. But again, hey, it's your picture, so if you want, do what you want. But I think that takes data away. Oops, I added another dot. Right clicking gets rid of it. Okay, that's cool. Again, and like I said, it's iterative, so we're going to hit apply. And now it came back and it applied it again. I'm going to see this part of the image is too dark, right? So we want this to be brighter. Cool. Now, apply that. And that's real bright. I think we'll come back to that in a little while, man. What if we put this on just blue? All right, let's hit reset first. And we're just looking at the blue. And if we just take this blue out a little bit. Making it look real noisy. So blue. Man, I kind of like the blue, but I think this is just, I don't think that's supposed to be Nebula. Plus, we got to worry about, our pelican guy over here. Crushing out the blue. Take out the green. I mean, I like what the detail here and up there and here. I don't know. This is a matter of taste. Plus, we did the SPCC to it, so messing around with the color levels is going to be a good way to kind of negate the whole idea of putting the spectrophotometric color calibration on here. But again, it's whatever you want. I'm going to leave that as is, and we're going to close this up. Okay, so we got two other things that are wrong with this picture. One is it's really noisy. That's what this little noise. It looks like signal noise. And then the other problem is that, well, it's not a problem, but we're going to fix it or enhance it. We're going to use what's called blur exterminator. It's like almost like adding just a little sharpening focus to your picture. Generally, people say do the blur exterminator first. So let's try that. So we're going to go up to processes, all processes, and then blur exterminator. Blur exterminator, also we're going to want the real-time preview. And as soon as I click this, it's going to calculate. First of all, we want to sharpen stars. So these had sticky values. If I reset this, that usually comes out to be 50. I'm going to take it to 0 because we don't have any stars. So I don't want to sharpen them. Leave that at 0. I kind of just leave this all the same, and then I'm going to hit the real-time preview, and it's going to slow us down here for a minute. So I'm going to pause, and then I'll come back once we are ready to rock, because it's calculating in real time, the real-time preview. All right, we're back. It didn't take too long. Okay, so we've got our real-time preview with blur exterminator. Now, it's hard to see if anything's changed a lot of times. Let's zoom in, but it definitely has. This is the zoom tool. It's going to recalculate. You select, you can't roll in with your mouse like you can in the images. In the real-time preview, you'll have to draw the area you want to look at. So it's actually recalculating. As you can see, this guy's spinning here. If that's happening, then it's thinking. And there we go. We are zoomed in. Now, let's see what the difference is. If you show the transformed image here, you can turn that off. And that's what our original image is. And now watch real closely when I click this again. It's just, it's just enough. It's just like, it just takes the focus just a little bit. I mean, you can obviously kick this up, and let's try that. Let's take this up to, like, say 7.5. It's going to recalculate, and we're going to twiddle our thumbs and watch a little of the Germany game. Well, we're rooting for Canada, right? As we're doing the North American Nebula. We're rooting for Canada. Whoever wins this game, Germany and Canada plays the U.S. in the semifinals. So, oh, just missed a header there in extra time. Cool. Hey, so we are, we're here. We're done. Now I'll turn it off. and turn it back on. And it really sharpened that up. And it doesn't, I don't think it looks funky at all. Sometimes when you do this, it gets out of hand. I might even try it up to 8. Let's try 8.5. A good trick to do is when you first get in, just give it extreme values. That way you can see what's happening, and then you can kind of back it off. I didn't do that this time. I started with 5, and then we kind of went up. But a lot of times, what I'll do is I'll just start with an extreme value and see how that looks, and then what's being changed, what's being augmented, and then kind of a minimal value, and then see what's being changed, and then come back. Here we are. So if I turn this off again, and on again, and off again, and on again, and on again, and on again, I still think it's looking good. It's looking good. It's starting to get a little ropey. That's what I call it. With these edges of the nebulas, but I think it looks pretty good. So cool. Now I'm going to hit apply, and I'll pause because that will take maybe a minute or two to do. So I don't want to twiddle my thumbs for a minute. So apply, boom, and see you in a second. All right, I'm back here. Let's see. Our blur exterminator is applied, and guess what? It's applied again. So this actually looks a little weirder now. This is what I was talking about when it gets kind of ropey. Right here, for instance, in that part of the image, it's just weird looking. So you don't want to overdo it, right? So, but what's happening is when you come back, and I should have done this because you want to turn off the real-time preview. And now that's our image. Because it's actually applying it again to the real-time preview. So let's go ahead and close up Blur Exterminator, and just for interest purposes, it took 3 minutes and 37 seconds. This is a very big mosaic image. Cool. So next what we're going to do, we're going to keep our real-time preview open, and we're going to get rid of this noise. Noise, bye-bye. So let's say we're going to go to Process, All Processes, and Noise Exterminator. Now, I've got to link it to here, and as soon as I click that, this is the original settings. We're going to hit real-time preview, and that could take a second or two to calculate. But I'll stay live with you, and we'll see here. Spinny, 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 spinny. Are we there? Are we there? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Oh, man. It's all coming together. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Would you look at that? I love it. Love it. All right. So, man, very cool. That's awesome. Okay, so those are just basic settings. We're going to do again. We're going to zoom in to an area. I mean, this is like really to me, if I were looking at this image, this is the area I kind of focus on. It's just like the cool area. There's 3 areas, and we're going to need to bump this pelican up a little bit more. But let's zoom in on this area just to see what happens if we fiddle with the detail. So you still see noise, these blue flecks, but what'll happen is when we bring all them stars back in, it's going to mask a lot of this stuff. And at the end of the day, it's going to be pretty cool. So let's just give, like I said, give an extreme value here. Let's go up to like 8.5. And give it a second to think. Spinny, spinny, spinny. Did they just pull the keeper out of the game? Oh, they're in PKs? What's going on? Sorry. I'm trying to do two things at once. I might have to pause you guys for a second to watch these PKs. All right, let's take it off and on to see what's happening. Oh, really noisy. On. Less noisy. Off. Really noisy. On. Less noisy. Much less noisy. Man, I'll tell you, even at 8.5, we take it to 7.5. Spinny, 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 spinny. I'm liking it. I'm liking it. I'm liking it. Guys, I'm liking it. Let's go ahead and apply. And that'll just apply that noise, the noise exterminator to the whole image. And I can pause, but yeah, I'm gonna pause because I'm gonna watch these PKs and I'll be back. Hey, I'm back. Yeah, Germany just women's team just advanced on penalty kicks. Looks like USA playing Germany. Sorry, Canada. You're going home. But we're going to have a beautiful Nebula picture here at the end of the day. So what we've got now is that we've come back and it's applied the blur exterminator. It's reapplied it again because I forgot to turn off the real-time preview before executing it. That's a good habit to get into, is to turn this off, then execute. Because when it comes back, it has to do it again, and it takes extra time. But I knew. I was watching these penalty kicks. So anyway, here we are. We're back. I'm really happy with what's happening here. Wow. So cool. Cool. All right. So we've got rid of our noise. We've got rid of the blur a little bit. Now, what I would like to see is more of the Pelican Nebula, especially these dark areas. So I'm going to come back to our, I don't know where the window is. So even if it's open, you can come here and we're going to go to intensity transformations. I'm going to look at the curves transformation again. And we're going to do red, green, blue. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, don't forget to turn that on. Again, this is all about personal preferences. I mean, that's bringing everything up, right? Apply that. And it's doing it twice. Give it more of these little kind of S curves. Now, there's ways what we could do. Because I'm basically affecting the whole image now. We could go in here and we could do some masking. And we could, just work on the Pelican Nebula, for instance. But, honestly, I'm kind of liking where we're at. And all these blues are funky over here a little bit. Yeah, that's too washed out. Let's do that S curve. We're really kind of getting some fun detail in the upper part of this nebula here. Okay, I don't like it. I'll apply that. I'll turn off the real-time preview and we'll minimize that bad boy. All right. So jacking that up again brought in a little extra noise. I can see in here. So let's pull back our noise exterminator. And again, but this time we're gonna denoise. We'll reset it. We'll take the denoise way down to 5. Put on the real-time preview. See if it cleans a little bit of that up. Spinny, 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 and spinny, spinny, spinny. Spin it, spin it, spin it, spin it. Okay, it's done. Off, on, off, on. I'm not seeing a lot of changes. It's kind of a noisy area here. When you zoom in, you can see some differences. Let's just take it back up to, let's take it to 1. I mean, this could get funky. This could get real funky like Funky Town. All right, it's definitely denoising. Let's look at the whole image. Thinking. Oh yeah, France is playing Brazil right now. We gotta flip over to that. Started 56 minutes ago. Okay. On. Off. On. 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 I don't know. Seeing a little difference. Still a little funky. I'm gonna change this back to like a normal number. Let's just reset it. Oh, that's 9. Let's just get it that. Boom. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna do this first. I'm gonna hit off on the real-time preview, and then I'm going to apply it. Now zip through that. Cool. 53 video. I don't know. I'm right at like the 56-minute mark. I want to see if we can get this done in under 1 hour. And I've been goofing around a little bit, so it hasn't really been an hour. Cool. I don't need the real-time preview anymore. Here's what we got. Da, 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 da. Now, what you need to do is combine these two. Okay, we got our stars. We didn't do anything with our stars yet. So another cool tool comes from the SETI Astro Fokies, and they have this thing called Star Stretch, and it's exactly for this particular function. Once you have isolated stars, you can stretch them out, and I like this because it gives you a nice real-time preview, and you have to actually hit show preview here, and then nicely does that, and gives you a look at the stars. Remember how weird they were before? We can tell this to be 1-to-1. That should zoom us in. Look at all, and what the star stretch does, and it tells you what its basic values are, is it really gives you these nice colors of these stars. Like I've got red stars and I've got blue stars. I'm gonna take the green out too. Watch this green star right in the middle. Let's see what happens when we refresh the preview. Boom. It's blue now. It's more like a teal. That guy is definitely blue. So I'm liking this pretty much. I don't think I need to mess with any of these values. I'm going to hit execute. Bam. And this stretch doesn't take very long. It's already done. Cool. So we're stretched. We're stretched. Now we got two images here. I used to put them back together with the pixel math, and basically it just added the two images kind of together. But our friends over here at the SETI Astro again, no, it's actually not that. It's in the toolbox when you add the extra Pixel Insight repository. You can come in here and then it has a combine images. And I never knew about this for like a good amount of time. What's really cool about this tool is that you get a real-time preview of what your image is going to look like. When you use pixel math, you just whop them together. There's no, you just A image plus B image and gives you the C image. Here we've got, we've got this. Now we're going to add the stars, which is here. And it should automatically update this. Booyah! I love it when a plan comes together. That's amazing. So, if we wanted to, we could tone down the stars a little bit because we want to focus on the nebula. But I shot this again with the dual band filter, so the stars were already a little bit toned down to begin with. I think it's perfect just the way it is. Maybe sometimes I increase the vibrance of maybe the stars, which is image number 2. Let's see what happens if we pull this to there. Oh, it automatically does it. And I think that they pop a little more. So if we reset this, and I'm going to just keep my eye on that one blue star in the middle. Yeah, if you look at that star, it just washed it out just a tad. Now I think 0.75 was maybe too much, but let's do, because I had it like way up there. Let's try like more like 4. Wait, that's close enough. Yeah, just a little pop. Just a little pop. Very nice. I'm loving it. I think we're good. So you hit the green check and it'll bring your images together and boom, that's what we got. I could go into Photoshop later and maybe work, like I said, on these individual areas of the image. But if I show this to my kids, they're going to be like, Dad, that is badass. They probably won't say that. They say, that's really cool. And that's the name of the game for me anyway. So here's our original from the scope. Here is our enhanced image in PixInsight. Thanks for joining me today. Have a great one. Happy shooting. Enjoy the skies. This is Brett from Skydad Astro. Signing off.